What's going on, everyone? It's T-Rad32 here, and we are starting. This is episode number 1 of the Toronto Blue Jays franchise mode. We're just going to go through the setup, look at the roster, and we'll go from there. Tuesday will actually be the first official episode. This is just the setup, look at the roster, see what we can do with this team, and then we'll move on from there. Start a new franchise. I already have a saved roster ready to go. It's the Full Miners version 4 from Ryden Rosters. Fantastic roster. If you guys don't know these, you go into the roster vault. I might even do a little tips and tutorials on that later. We're going to select this one. Obviously, we're going with the Toronto Blue Jays. They're 7th ranked in the league, 2nd in contact, 3rd in power. Defense is the worst out of all of them at 22nd. They're going to be our team. Our ownership expectations is we reach the postseason every year, and at least once we win the league pennant. Sounds easy enough. So then we head into this, and so GM contracts I'm going to leave on. Fantasy draft, turn that off. Allow legend free agents, turn that off. CPU will have no control over our roster control. Computer trades can obviously be allowed. Now this is going to be a little controversial here, and you can obviously let me know about it in the comments. I'm not the biggest fan of the way that they handle trade logic and the way they handle budgets in this game. So I personally will turn both of these on. Now, just to be clear, that doesn't mean I'm going to go out there and make ridiculous trades without running it by you guys first, and that's something we'll get to later on. But the budgets in this game really don't make a lot of sense. The trade logic in this game really doesn't make a lot of sense either. Trades that look fair are completely lopsided apparently. But you can also trade some C potential prospect for Mike Trout. So just because of that, I'm going to turn the force trades on. It's not going to be completely ludicrous unless we decide that's the way we're going to go with it. But for now, we'll leave that on. In later years, we can start a new one. We can turn that off, and hopefully the trade logic is better by then. Designated hitter, I'll leave it as automatic. This is still MLB 21. That means in National Leagues, the pitcher's going to hit. American League, like us, we won't have to worry about it unless we're playing on the road against a National League team. Extra inning runner, I hate this rule personally, and it's going to be gone next year, so I'm turning that off. We're just going to play normal baseball without Manfred ball. So those are the settings. I'm not going to do a face cam for most of these episodes just because there's a lot going on the screen a lot of the time, lots of stuff moving around, so it's just easier to leave the face cam off. So those are the settings. We'll advance. So coaching tasks, set lineups and rotations, and injury management, we'll make that manual. Development tasks. The scouting, I've always been a little weird on. I don't totally understand how it works. I'm just going to leave that as auto manage. And then manager tasks, 40-man roster, stuff like that, we're actually going to turn that to manual. That way we're in charge of trades, we're in charge of free agency, 40-man roster, stuff like that. So those are those settings. We're going to start at spring training. Therefore, we have a full look at this roster. Welcome on in to the franchise mode. As you see, we are starting at spring training, like I said. We'll take a look at the roster here. So Vladdy is a 99 already. We're not going to mess with a lot of the attributes. The only thing that sometimes I might change is if, this is 65 fielding. I think Vladdy could be a little bit higher fielding-wise. But other than that, a lot of the attributes won't change. So the thing that I'm most concerned about with this team isn't the offense. The offense will make great every year. I mean, we turned ignore budgets off because they make no sense. They don't even really implement that salary, the luxury tax. So the thing I'm mostly concerned about is the bullpen. The starting rotation is honestly okay if we especially get Robbie Ray back. Hyunjin Ryu, I know he'll go down eventually, so we have to make sure like we're looking at him as like a fifth starter down the line. Alek Manoah is going to be fantastic. We have Jose Barrios. That's when we can lock up for a while. I think next year. And then Steven Matz, honestly, probably looking at trading him if we can get anything. And then we look down. We got like Nate Pearson as a main starter. Again, that's something we can even discuss too, is eventually do we move him to the bullpen? Other than that, the depth is a little low. That's something we can address during trades, is get young, controllable starters for the bulk of this franchise. Bullpen-wise, relief-wise, you got Kirby Yates. Bad hand. I honestly might just release him. Simber's honestly going to be amazing. Julian Merriweather, Joakim Soria. The bullpen has some pieces to it. I think they're a little underrated, but overall, it's not that bad. Depending on how many games we actually play, that will be a whole different subject. Jordan Romano will be our closer. He's the closer in real life. He'll be the closer here, at least for year one. Catching, now this is where it gets interesting. They have Reese McGuire as apparently the highest overall catcher. I don't agree with that. Honestly, he's probably one I'd look at shipping out for young, controllable pitchers if we can. Not necessarily major league level pitchers, but young prospect pitchers. The one I'd most be looking to trade potentially, and again, this is all up to you guys, is Alejandro Kirk. In real life, to me, his defense isn't that great. The offense here in this game, it kind of looks the exact way I thought it would. If anything, I'd like to find another veteran catcher, or at least younger catcher, around the same age as Danny Jansen, and kind of make them a platoon option here. Again, I think a lot of these cards are kind of underrated, so we can always look at the ratings, and if you want me to boost them up, let me know. Obviously, first we got Vladdy. Second, Marcus Semien, at least for this year. We got Santiago Espinal as well, just kind of hanging around. Biggio at third. Bo at short. And then you got Lourdes, Springer, and Teoscar. With Randall Grichuk, that's another one. Always open to trading Randall Grichuk if that's what we decide as a front office is the best, because you guys are in charge of this too. So if you guys want to trade Randall Grichuk, feel free to let me know. We'll see what we can work out. And throw some trade ideas down in the comments below. So that's the overall roster. We'll look at the depth chart here. So 21-21, this is what we're looking like. Honestly, not terrible. I would love to improve at third, behind the plate. But everywhere else is honestly pretty solid. 2022, hey, the depth is still good. You know, you still got you got your entire core basically still here for a while. And then this is kind of where it starts to really fall off, because then you have Barrios that you need to resign in 2022, and that's just kind of the way your rotation looks. Year 3, that's where I think free agents will be wise. We'd have to spend a lot on pitching, and we can always do that in the 2022 offseason as well. And then from there on out, you know, there's guys that we're going to have to pay, like Vladdy, Bo, Cavan. Like, there's going to be pieces. George Springer, like, constantly goes down in overall. So even looking at maybe like 2023, if there's a young center fielder that would replace what George Springer does, we can look at trading him. I don't want to trade George Springer by any stretch of the imagination. But by the time you get to like 2025, he has 1 year left. He's an 81 overall. Maybe that's when he moves down to DH. That's something we can always discuss as well. And then right field would obviously be a big need there as well. So that actually basically does it for this video. The first full episode, we'll play the opening day game. we're just going to sim through spring training, make sure the lineups are good to go for opening day 2021. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.